Hey, Nancy, can we help you with anything? I see you raised your hand. If you have a question, Nancy, I've unmuted you so you could ask it, or you can put it in the chat box, and I'll walk us through where all those functions are if any of us are unsure in just a minute.
Leah, I think the question is where we can find the downloads.
Oh, yes. So they're in the chat. So let me minimize out of this. So the chat bubble is, Alex, I advance to the next screen. The chat bubble is, looks like a little, my screen is not letting me advance. There we go. It looks like a little chat bubble. And if you click on that, you'll see I've shared a link to a Dropbox file or folder. Let us know if you can't find that, Nancy. Let me post it again and see if that helps. Okay, looks like that worked. Great. So we'll give you a minute to download those resources, and then we'll rock and roll and we'll dive into this webinar. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to the Discover AFBFA webinar. My name is Leah Gibson and I work for the foundation. We also have some other foundation employees on with us today, Sydney Andrews and Sierra Comstock. They're on as well, and if I'll be trying to monitor the chat as best as I can, but since they're on, they'll help us monitor that as well and help us get everybody's questions answered. So on the screen, you can see this is just to help us make sure that we all understand the basics of how to use Zoom. So the chat function looks like some of you have noticed where that is. That's that little chat bubble at the bottom. When you are messaging or sending a chat, make sure that you click all panelists and attendees. That way we can all see the question that you're asking instead of it just going to the panelists or attendees. And so you can adjust that setting by clicking that drop-down menu next to 2. If you have any questions, put them there, or you can also you can raise your hand if you have any questions, and I can unmute you and you can ask your question that way. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. So again, that's the chat. That's where you can choose more items to communicate with us by. And let's move on. So let's go ahead and test out this chat function. So a big part and one of my favorite parts about this webinar is bringing together a bunch of people from all over the United States to talk about the value of agriculture and education. And so each of you bring a really unique perspective and mindset to this conversation, and we want to know who you are and what you're from and what you do. So go ahead in the chat box and one message, put your first name, your affiliation. Are you here with, do you work for Farm Bureau? Are you a teacher? And then put what state you're from in the chat box. And if a little tip, if you push, I'm not sure what it is on a PC, unfortunately, but if you have a Mac, I know if you push Control Option Return, it'll let you enter without entering all at the same time. Welcome, Tracy, Eleni, Diana, welcome. Let's see, it looks like we have some teachers. Wendy's a third grade teacher from Georgia. Molly's an ag teacher from Florida. Jonathan's with us. He's on the New York State Senate Agriculture Committee. Or no, he's the council too, excuse me. Welcome, Greta, with Farm Bureau State Leadership Committee of Georgia. And Diana is a teacher, elementary teacher in Georgia. Nancy from University of Hawaii. Welcome, Tracy and Lisa with the Farm Bureau, an accounting extension agent. Anybody else need to enter who you are, your affiliation, your state? Give you 30 more seconds. Great. Well, welcome everybody. It looks like we have a broad spectrum here of where you're all from and the affiliations that you're a part of. So we're happy that you are taking an hour of your evening to be with us today. So this webinar is a part of a bigger picture here at the foundation. So part of our efforts amongst the many that you're going to learn about in just a minute is the foundation outreach team. So whether you have completed all of the requirements for this or you are just diving in, this is the first you're learning about the American Farm Bureau Foundation. This is a place for collaboration and exploration, and it can start with this webinar here. So to join this outreach team that we have, first there's a few benefits to joining this outreach team that we have. So you'll first receive advanced notification of resources. So whenever we've developed something new and it's either coming through the pipeline or it's about to be on the website, you'll get that first reach. You'll know before anybody else does that it's available. We'll also reach out to you for speaking opportunities. So we'd love to engage our experts in education and getting out there in the field, getting out into the classrooms and being at events and using our resources. And so we'll reach out to you to be able to engage in some speaking opportunities. send you special invitations to events that we're having, whether it's at the Farm Bureau Annual Convention or different conferences that we are engaged with across the United States. And we'll also reach out to you to help pilot programs. It's really important to us that these resources work and that they are aligned with the learning standards and that students like them. So we often pilot programs in classrooms with the help of volunteers. So those are some reasons why you should join and could join the outreach team. And to do it, these were some of those prerequisites that I was mentioning earlier. You can attend a culminating workshop, which you're already doing. That's item number 4 right there. And you can take you'll watch 2 online courses on Farm Bureau University about the pillars, which you'll learn about in just a moment. Digs into the details of those and some of our resources a little bit more. And then all you have to do last is to use our resources and materials in a classroom, at a fair or event, at some type of workshop or presentation. And then you'll just complete a short reflection survey and you'll be a part of our outreach team. So it's really easy. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me afterwards. I'll share my email, and you can also capture this email down as well, foundation@fb.org, if you have any other questions. So our plan for today, other than my pitch to get you to join the outreach team, is to discover the pillars and understand what those are, understand how to use them, and then last but not least, be able to select the right tool for the job. Since you all have different goals for being a part of this webinar, we want to help you make sure that you achieve those. And whenever you see this green pencil, that's your cue to get ready for some collaboration, some brainstorming, and some engagement. So just keep an eye out for that. I'll cue you as well, but just so you know, that's what that means. So first, let's discover the pillars. So for those of us who were able to download those 3 files in that Dropbox link, the first item that you can open is that pillars PDF. And I'm going to walk us through what that is. So the pillars are a resource that we developed a few years ago for a variety of reasons. So they're written from an agriculture industry perspective. We were thinking about, what are the best practices and the key messages that should be communicated when we're talking about agriculture literacy. So that was the mindset we had when we developed these pillars. And as you can see, these pillars are broken up into 6 sections. So these are all relationships of agriculture and the rest of the world, how agriculture interacts between the industry and society. And these subcomponents are key messages or key areas that we wanted to make sure that we were not only focusing our resources on, but our messaging as well. And so this pillars document, this is just the front cover. But if I exit out of this, for those of us who don't have the whole PDF downloaded, I can show you. It's a 9-page document, and as you can see here, what we start with is helping students develop an awareness of agriculture, and they work up this ladder to being informed consumers and voters, because that's the ultimate goal of agriculture literacy. And as you look throughout this pillars document, it's broken down in such a way. So it starts with foundational knowledge, and it's broken up in a way that's very similar to typical educational standards that you'd find for classrooms today, with the key components listed there. And then there's expectations by grade level as well. So this is a early childhood starts at early childhood, goes all the way to early adult. So this is a resource that can be used for really every audience that you want to engage with. And there's key objectives here that you can use. So we like to think of this as a tool to help with planning. It can help you identify your messaging. It can help you identify gaps and analyze where you need to fill in some content. It's a great tool to use for a framework for learning. It's easy to implement with current educational standards. As you can see, they're listed quite similarly as other standards for those of you who are teachers. And it's also a guide to measure success. So you, if you have some event or a lesson that you're teaching or a part of or putting on, you can establish some objectives and reflect back using this document to help you assess whether or not you measured or assess whether or not you had a successful event or lesson. So this is a really neat tool. It is free and it is available online for you to download. There's also some additional resources to help you use these pillars to the best of your ability. So I'm going to share this again, and then let's dig deeper into these pillars. So again, this is the link if you wanted to see where they are online, but they're also just in that Dropbox file. So first, let's take inventory of what you have. So next, we'll pull up the Agriculture Literacy Planning Review Worksheet. So that was also in that Dropbox folder. So if you could all pull that up. You could also, if you don't have it up, you can just pull up a blank piece of scratch paper and create this, this table on a piece of paper as well. So your task for the next 3 minutes is to catalog at least one of your recent agriculture literacy efforts and complete the review of each. So if we look at this table, you'll first, there's an example here. So you'll list, this has Ag Books for School Library. That's the resource that we have. When was it presented and developed? It's about 5 years old and we use it once a year. What are the results of it? The librarian appreciates that we give these agriculture books to the school library. Relationship to pillars of ag literacy, so that's what we were just talking through. This just really hits that foundational level of knowledge. And then target audience is K through 6, and the method of engagement is simply sharing materials, sharing resources. So go ahead, take the next 3 minutes, fill that out as much as you can. Try to complete at least one agricultural literacy effort. And if you have never put on or been a part of any agricultural literacy effort in the past, think of something that you've attended. It doesn't have to be something that you've put on, but think of an effort that you've heard of or attended, and you can put that down and fill that out to the best of your ability. So again, filling out the pillars review worksheet with an event you have done in the past or have been a part of. Take about 2 more minutes and be prepared to share when you're finished.
Hey, Leah, I think we had a question in the chat box.
Unable to type in the worksheet. Let's see, is anybody else having difficulty doing that? So if you can't, I'm able to edit it, and unless anybody else is having issues, please say something in the chat box. Otherwise, Melanie, go ahead and just either create your own in Word or capture down this table on a blank piece of paper. And I'll make sure that you have access to reach out to us afterwards, and we'll make sure you have access to a version that you can type in. Oops, I keep clicking that. Okay, so let's have some folks share. So if you're willing to share, either raise your hand or say something in the chat box, and I'll unmute you, and you can talk us through an activity or ag literacy effort that you've been a part of in the past. We'll take 3 people to share. Let's see. Tracy, would you be willing to share something that you've done in the past or something that you've been a part of? I've unmuted you if so. Are you there, Tracy?
Where's my chat? I'm trying.
Tracy, we can hear you.
Can you see my review worksheet?
Can I see it?
Yeah, that's all I have on the screen right now is I'm trying to post to the review worksheet. Can you all see that?
Oh, you're trying to share it.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think I'm doing a good job.
That's okay. Can you just walk us through it? Can you just talk us through? Yeah.
So one of the ag literacy activities I do is livestock terminology.
How long, when do you do,
I do that twice a year with in my class because I do teach agriculture. So I have the target audience every semester. So twice a year is when I have this activity.
What do you feel like the results of that are? What's sort of your evidence?
I definitely feel that there is a big difference. What I do for an intro activity is I do a word sort where I put down all sorts of terminology and I group it by livestock, and the students work together as teams to try and fit what the which term belongs with which animal. You'd be amazed how many children do not know even the basics of what animal goes with what species, like terminology. So we do that as a fun activity. And then I move over to a graphic organizer and teach them about proper livestock terminology.
That's great. Anything else that you'd like to share about it?
I guess I do with sixth grade, but now that we are implementing an elementary agriculture program this year at my school, we're a pilot school for the next 3 years. I'm definitely going to incorporate this in the lower levels where it applies to the standards we've created, because I think it's important that students understand the proper terminology that goes along with animals, which kind of seems basic to people that are in the industry, but there's a tremendous amount of people that really have no idea, about animals and livestock in general. And that's the basis of where, food comes from and byproducts and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree and see why you would want to branch out to even lower age groups. Great. Well, thanks for sharing, Tracy.
No problem.
Okay, let's actually have one more person share just an ag literacy effort you've used in the past, using this review worksheet to help you think through it. Let's see, Greta. Greta, I'm going to unmute you and allow you to talk about that a little bit more, if that's okay. You are unmuted. If you could share your book of the year process. Let's see. I don't know if you're talking, we can't hear you. But it looks like Greta has a County Farm Bureau Book of the Year program. The school gets a teaching worksheet for the appropriate grades. It's pre-K through 5th grade, and she's disseminating materials. Super. Okay, great. So that is just an activity. It's a worksheet that you can use to think through things that you've done in the past. What have you done, and help you assess some gaps as you think through what you'd like to do in the future. So let's move on to learning about some Farm Bureau resources. So these are the 3 main websites, or web links that you can utilize, put in your toolkit to access many free resources and to use in part of your agriculture literacy efforts. So first, let's start with agfoundation.org. So this is our main website. It's the main hub for the foundation. It's where we keep all of our, it's where we keep everything. And we have our resources, our projects, the stores there. You can access scholarships, and there's also some books. And our main key new resources that are available on this website. The first is our Right This Very Minute book. So the American Farm Bureau Foundation created a book publishing company called Feeding Minds Press because we realized that there is a lack of agriculturally accurate books out there. So we created our own publishing company to do it. And Right This Very Minute is also our book of the year. And it has an educator's guide that you can buy that comes along with it. And it's a table to farm book about food and farming. It's really fun, great for those lower elementary age groups. You can buy it on our store. It's also available at most of your major retailers like Walmart and Barnes & Noble. Another new fun resource is our food waste agriculture magazine, or Ag Mag. That's available through our store. So we create a variety of ag mags for 3rd through 5th grade. They are nonfiction, newspaper-style readers, and they're really content dense, but they're fun, as you can see displayed here. Lots of good visuals, fun activities for the students to do as well. So those are a fun resource. There's all different types. There's the major commodities. Most of them all have their own ag mag: corn, soy, dairy. We also have a pizza one, school gardens. There's lots of good resources in those ag mags. Another new resource on our website is Bringing Biotech to Life. So this is a 7th through 10th grade free curriculum about biotechnology that you can download online. There are some online components that are free that your students can walk through this lesson by lesson. There's 8 lessons, but you could also just download this lesson PDF and take a look at it. So those are some fun resources that you can check out on our website that are new. We always have new resources that we'll post about in the news section on our website. So that's the main site, but our other 2 major programs are My American Farm and Purple Plow. So first with My American Farm, it's an educational gaming site. There's also lesson plans and other resources on there for pre-K through 5th grade. So there's 26 games, and most of them have a lesson plan, an activity sheet, and an e-comic that supplement that game. And this website is myamericanfarm.org if you wanted to check it out. And there's also, it's not just it's a great resource because you can use it at home with your family. You could also use it in the classroom if you wanted to, especially if you have access to a computer lab. And it's a great way to engage people at fairs and events. There are some apps that you can download that I'll show you in a moment that you can put on an iPad. You can set it up in the livestock area, and you can have somebody monitor it, and kids can come by and learn about agriculture and through a game. There's also some great, there's a display kit resource as well that you can set up at a fair. It's a 15 by 10 foot pop-up display that's interactive. That's really fun for fairs. So a new resource on the My American Farm website is our newest game is an egg sighting poultry adventure. We worked with the U.S. Poultry Association to help us create this resource. And it's all about math and careers. And it's a really fun game for 3rd through 5th graders. That's free, that you can download. My American Farm is all free. There's a few resources that are for purchase, but all of the games, the lesson plans, all of that you can download and use for free. Some other free My Little Ag-Me, these are some other resources. My Little Ag-Me is a game that's on My American Farm. That's up in this left corner. That's what that game icon looks like. And there are some great career resources. So pre-K through high school, there are some simple ways for you to engage your community or your students in learning about ag careers. There's some free lesson plans you can download. We also have some new books that we publish through Feeding Minds Press. There are chapter books for upper elementary as well. And there's 3 of them that you can download and print off and staple them. That's a common thing that people will do. And then there's also some fun ag career videos that you can show your students or your audience that you're working with. And last but not least, My American Farm has a new STEM app that we launched earlier this year. So we have 4 of our most popular STEM-based games, and we combine them into an app that you can download for free on the App Store or through the Google Play Store. So that's a really fun resource as well. You can play it with your kids at home, on road trips, and you can find a way to involve it in the classroom or at fairs and events as well. So that's My American Farm. I repeated those slides. And last but not least, our last main resource is Purple Plow. So Purple Plow is for 5th through 12th grade. It's a STEM challenge site. So we've launched this in 2017, so it's one of our newer major platforms. But there's 2 major Purple Plow challenges that run each year. They run seasonally, one in the spring, one in the fall. So there's no challenges right now, but the fall challenge will open August 1st, and it is called Growing Green. It's all about how do we use energy in agriculture. So that's a fun way to get involved. You can, if you have 5th through 12th grade students of your own, you can have them create a team, and they come up with a solution to this challenge. This unique real-world challenge in agriculture. They come up with their solution, they submit it to us, and the winners will receive, it's typically a 3D printer for the classroom or for the after-school group, 4-H club, whatever it may be, and as well as a $100 Visa gift card for the teacher or the facilitator who led the students. So those resources, that challenge and those supplementary lessons are free. You can download those online. And there's also puzzlers that you can download as well. Let me just put this website in here in case you wanted to check this out as we go along. So puzzlers are 30 minutes to 3-hour long activities, whereas challenges can take quite some time. You can spread them out amongst a whole semester if you wanted to, or you could get them done in a week or 2. But puzzlers are much shorter STEM activities, but with the same process that the challenges are, so that we want it to be very student-centered. The students come up with the solution. It's very process-focused and not it's not so much about the product. And so you can download those puzzlers. There's 40 of them available for free to download as well right now on the website. And there's videos that go along with each challenge. And if you're interested in recruiting people, there's resources online to recruit your students' 4-H leader to be a part of it, or your local middle school science teacher to join along. So that's Purple Plow. So those are our 3 main websites that you can download some resources on. Before we move on to our next step, what questions are there about these 3 main resources or any specific resources that I mentioned? You can raise your hand or type it in the chat box. Okay, I am going to move on. Oh, will the My American Farm app work on iPads? Yes, we have a there's also just a My American Farm regular app that you can use, that's different from that STEM app I shared with you, and that's that when we go to conferences that have big trade shows, we will use the My American Farm app, and it doesn't need to be connected to Wi-Fi, and so it's downloaded and we can just use it, and there's 6 games on there. So you can use it on iPads, Wendy. And Tracy, thanks for sharing that your students like to use My American Farm. It's a really fun platform, and we're always trying to update the games to keep it relevant. Great. So as you continue to have more thoughts and questions, please just put them in the chat box, and we'll make sure to get those questions answered. So those are our 3 main platforms that you can access resources through. And we're really excited about them, and excited that all of you are here because, together education is the most powerful weapon that we can use to change the world, said Nelson Mandela. And you have just now been equipped with even more resources, more powerful weapons to change the world with. And so let's take some time to think about how we can implement those into what we're doing or what we'd like to do in the future. So next, let's pull up this strategic planning worksheet. That's the last worksheet that was in that Dropbox folder. It's structured very similarly as that review worksheet. But again, let's take the next 3 to 5 minutes to think through an agriculture literacy effort that you can do that involves some of the resources that I've just shared with you. So this can look like adding a resource onto an already planned event that you have, incorporating My American Farm at some outreach that you do, or it can be some brand new idea that you have, some brand new effort that you'd like to implement. So go ahead, fill out this worksheet, either on your in Word, or capture it down on a piece of paper. And again, we'll have a few folks share at the end to spread out, to spread your ideas and see what great things you've come up with. And as you think of something, or as you complete this, go ahead and put a summary of your idea in the chat box to start to generate those ideas. again, as you think of your idea, your way to incorporate some foundation resources, you can put it in the chat. Sierra has an idea of volunteering in the classroom. You can use the Foundation's Book of the Year right this very minute to read to pre-K students. Yes, indeed.
Leah, it looks like we have another great chat from Tracy.
Great. Looks like Tracy is interested in those pre-K programs and the STEM challenge through Purple Plow. Yeah. Oh, here they go. All of the ideas are flooding into the chat box. Let's see. Melanie, I'd love to hear more about your ideas. I've unmuted you. Do you mind sharing some more about what you'd like to see happen? Let's see. It looks like Melanie wants to help with the STEM efforts for the Evans County Farm Bureau. Can read accurate ag books with the K through K or kindergarten and first graders. Lots of ideas. She's got second grade. You can do some animal husbandry work. Third grade, you can do gardening. We have a school garden ag mag that you could get.
Yes, we're implementing quite a few things actually.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 33 lessons for each grade, and I'm working with a STEAM coordinator, and so she's making sure that everything is on target for where it needs to be as far as that goes. There's a word I'm missing. Anyway, but we want the kids to engineer their own gardens, whether it be a raised garden, whether it be an in-ground garden or container gardens. We want them to engineer their own and see how that works and see how it doesn't work and see what they need to do to change it. They're going to be the able to work it out, to do the work. So it'll be the same with the fourth grade and the beekeeping. They're going to build their own beehive. It's going to be an indoor beehive so that they can see it in the class, and hopefully we won't let all the bees out. But and then in fifth grade, they're going to work on aquaponics, and so that's the one I am really excited about. Is kids learning how the fish survive in the environment, and then the plants survive off the fish, and how it rotates and how everything is. Again, there's a word. Everything is working together to make things happen, and so it doesn't happen in just water and plants and fish. It happens throughout life, as everything has to work together to make it work.
Yeah, that's great. Those are wonderful ideas. And as you're talking about those, that reminds me that so Purple Plow, if you don't already have enough resources for that, Purple Plow has a hydroponic, at least, challenge called H2O or H2Grow that you could look at, see if there's some interesting resources there. And then on the Purple Plow website, we also have an engineering design process that your students could follow if you are looking for some structure for how to guide their thinking through that process as they engineer some solutions. So that is available as well. That could be a good resource to help you.
That's perfect.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much for sharing. That's great. That's you're doing a lot of good work.
Thanks.
Let's see, who else would be willing to share? Kay, would you, I've unmuted you. Would you be willing to talk a little bit more about what you put down? Looks like Kay has her local Farm Bureau sponsors a Farm to Fork Day for the fifth graders. It's a general agriculture literacy effort, and they use livestock and grains as available to help them learn about where their food comes from. Let's see, Wendy, would you be willing to share a little bit more about what you put down?
Yes, that'd be great. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. One thing that we've been working on is hopefully to increase the agricultural awareness throughout our school. And for the past couple of years, it's just been my class with our garden. We had 3 raised beds. So this year we have increased our 3 raised beds to 12 raised beds, and our entire 3rd grade of 10 homerooms is out gardening now. So we're very excited about that. Our local Farm Bureau has helped us put in a small orchard on our school grounds. So we have 8 peach trees and 3 apple trees. So we're excited about that, and we think we're going to get our 5th graders involved with the orchard as they talk about genetics and things like that. And with that, one of the Ag in the Classrooms, the California grant, we are going to be able to put in a blueberry patch this upcoming year. So we're very excited about all the hands-on actual gardening that we're going to be able to be doing. Mm-hmm. We're also putting in a high tunnel, and our local Farm Bureau has set that up for us.
That's fun. Those all sound like really great ways to engage students. As you talk through them, it makes me think of, I see you have that you think them you could tie in the My American Farm app for sure. That's a great idea. Another fun resource that could be good to look into is we have a resource called Farm a Month for elementary school students. And there's a map of the United States included, as well as some stickers. And we interviewed real U.S. farmers and ranchers that produce a variety of different agriculture commodities, and we feature them and have a farm a month. And so one month it's the maple farmers, and the next month it's the cranberry farmers, and you get to learn about that family and how they raise their food. And so that could be a fun thing to look into with your garden specifically. And then Purple Plow also has a Growing Your Community challenge. It's all about students raising crops and then creating some type of partnership within the community to feed people in the community. So that's a fun challenge that you could look into as well if you're looking for some additional resources.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
And can I share one more thing?
Absolutely.
There's also a program called Skype a Scientist, and it's a free program as well. And we have talked with cow farmers in Minnesota, and we're in Georgia, so we get to talk all around the country, and they pair you up. You tell them what kind of a scientist you want to speak to, and they'll pair you up, and you can talk to them and ask them questions. And we've had great experience with that.
Wendy, I am so glad that you shared that because just earlier today I was brainstorming with my colleagues about ways to get farmers and ranchers to connect with classrooms, and that's a great addition. Not only Skype scientists, but you could also Skype a farmer and rancher. So thanks for sharing that other fun tool.
Thank you.
So the Farm a Month is on agfoundation.org, and you can get that through the store, Tracy. All right, does anybody else have any other ideas that they'd like to share with the group? You can, if so, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat. And thanks, Kay, for putting this additional note here that this Marion County, I'm assuming Farm Bureau, also sponsors a petting zoo for all the ages at the county fair. There's interactive stations with livestock and bees and tubs of grain to touch and learn. That's great. Yeah, there's a lot of Farm Bureau resources that are free that you could use to help make it even more interactive if you wanted to as well. Thanks for sharing that. Great. Well, man, I really appreciate all of you taking time out of your evening to join us today. All of you have really wonderful ideas. You're already doing some really neat things in your communities, and I feel confident that with these new tools that you can brainstorm even more ideas to make agriculture education even stronger in your community. So thanks so much for all you do for agriculture and for students. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions at all, you can reach out to me. I put my email in the chat. So I'm Leah. You can reach me at educationdirector@fb.org. And you can also email Sydney. She was on with us earlier, and her email is in the chat box as well. Again, thank you all so much for joining. And if you have any questions, I'll stay on here for a little bit longer if you need to chat them to me. Otherwise, email us and we'd be happy to help you out. And have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks, everybody.